And it is now time for a motion to adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson, JP. And a pleasant good evening to you, Chris. Are you on the line?
Yes, Brother Dawn. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the people of Bermuda. Brother Dawn and people of Bermuda, as we know, last week, Friday, our beloved brother, Papa, Uncle, Ottiwell Simmons was released. He put in 90 years on this earth, serving the people of Bermuda, not just Bermuda, but the people of the Caribbean, serving humanity. Let's just say that. So today, without a doubt, we had to dedicate today as tributes to Brother Ottiwell Simmons, or as some would just simply say, Brother Otti. So we know that, as many know, he was the father of Bermuda's modern labor movement, but he was also a politician. So today we have a host of politicians who knew Brother Otti, or MP Ottiwell Simmons, JP, who are going to speak about their time with him, their relationship with him, what he did as a politician, and just to give a little bit more perspective to his life and his legacy, because you could have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't bring that to legislation, it's not going to work. So as we know, for many who don't know, there was a time that there was no such thing as vacation pay. There was a time that there was no such thing as, maternity leave. There was a time there's no such thing as sick pay. All of these things had to be brought to legislation. And MP Ottiwell Simmons was one of those who brought that labor legislation to the House of Assembly over the course of decades and improved the lives of every single Bermudian. There's not even just Bermudians. Every single worker in Bermuda now enjoys the things that he and others put forward. So that's what today's show is about his political legacy. And we have 3 or 4 persons are going to be calling in. How are you doing today, Brother Dawn?
Oh, as well. I'm just waiting for the first caller to call us, and once that's done, I'll let you know.
All right. Well, yes. As for others who don't know, the funeral for the late Ottiwell Simmons is going to be this Sunday. There's a host of events leading up to that. He's going to lay in state at Victor Scott School, or as people back at town would know, Central School, on Saturday evening. People will be able to view him and come and give tributes. And then on Sunday, he'll be viewed at the BIU, the house that he built, literally. and then the service will be at 3 p.m. at St. Paul's, and then after that, he will be marched, not driven, marched from St. Paul's to St. John's. So that's and I'm quite sure there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of persons coming out to pay their respects.
Are you there, Chris?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you went quiet for a minute.
No. I thought the caller was on the line.
Not yet. I'm still waiting.
Yes, okay. All right. Yeah, so again, the schedule for his homegoing service will be Saturday at Victor Scott School or Central School for the old school people. There'll be a viewing, and then there will be persons be able to stand up and give their own personal tributes or testimony of what Brother Ottiwell did for them. And then on Sunday at the BIU headquarters. And then he will be moved from BIU headquarters to St. Paul's, which was his church. Then after the service, which I suspect is going to be a very long service, he will be marched, rain, blow, or shine, to St. John's Cemetery. But Brother Dawn, for like I said, every work in Bermuda, whether you work in construction or you work in IB, you enjoy the benefits of what Brother Oddie and so many others laid on their, not necessarily their lives, but dedicated their lives towards, because there was a time people didn't get vacation pay. There was a time women, if you took off sick, well, not sick, but if you took off pregnant, you're not getting paid for that. And these are the things that we often, younger persons especially, often forget.
Okay, we have your first guest on the line.
Yes, good evening, Premier. How are you?
Good afternoon to you, MP Famous. And allow me, of course, publicly to express my condolences on the passing of your godfather, without question, a giant of Bermuda. Yes.
So, yeah, could you just speak up a little bit more, Premier?
No problem. Can you hear me better?
Yes, please. Use your military voice.
No problem.
Yeah, so you're paying respects to the giant.
Absolutely. I mean, Mr. Simmons, Uncle Oddie, Mr. President, I'm a younger person than you are, Chris, and so a large part of, the giant part of his life, I was very young, and also overseas. But my experiences with Oddie was when I returned back to Bermuda, when I was the chairman of the party. He was the party whip. And always had a wonderful calm demeanor, and you can imagine those times. It was stormy times, but it was incredible to watch him at the end of his political career still able to command the room of sometimes raucous members of parliament. And in later years, some may not know that Oddie was my constituent. So he lived in my Pembroke West Central constituency, and I'd always look forward to visiting him, to stop by when I was in the West Park Lane area in Pembroke Park, to just stop by to say hello and to greet him and sit and chat. And so it's certainly an incredible loss for the community. As you know, the Deputy Premier and I were able to go and visit with him a few weeks ago while he was in the hospital. You were there as well, and certainly pay our respects to someone who, as you said, so many people in Bermuda owe so much to, because he was fearless in the face of adversity, fearless in the face of the establishment, and fearless to make sure to stand up for the rights of which workers in this country deserved, and due to his tireless efforts as leader of the Bermuda Industrial Union, came to pass. And when we look at the history of the labor movement, of course, the culmination of this was the election of the Progressive Labor Party in 1998. And so those benefits that were only available to unionized workers then became available to every single person in the country through the Employment Act. And so it is a great legacy of work. And one of the things that he did, which a lot of people may not know, is that he made sure that the Bermuda Industrial Union and the Progressive Labor Party were more closely tied together to advance the matters of electoral success to lead to that great 1998 victory.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think often what some folks forget, even though they say PLP, what they forget at times is our middle name is Labor, right? What we are a Labor Party, and here's part of the challenge, right? Is because that persons such as Otti and so many others, Dr. Bull, Dr. Gordon, so on and so forth, because so many of them laid the foundation. They lifted the heavy weight for our generation. So a lot of the fights that they had to fight, we don't have to do. So sometimes people forget that we are a Labor Party. But with persons such as yourself and Honorable Jason Hayward, you are still doing things for the labor force in this country.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, it's as time goes on, person's view and definitions of labor change. But from my perspective, labor is for all those who work. And that is, what Jason and Minister Hayward says as well, because it's for all the workers inside of the country. And undeniably, the progress that was made. And as, I was speaking to the Deputy Premier, and he was recanting the work between L. Frederick Ray when he was leader, laying the foundation, and the work at the same point in time when Otti was the president of the BIU, that just culminating and making sure those work in that effort and education inside the community to recognize that for there to be wide labor reform inside of the country, you required a labor government to make sure that all workers in the country were treated fairly, and that is a part of his legacy.
Yeah, and I think on a closing note, one of the things that we can hold our heads proud is that before Brother Otti closed his eyes, or MP Otti, if you want to say in the political sense, we, as a Progressive Labor Party, passed minimum wage on June the 1st, before he passed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, there's been incredible progress on the labor front, and governing is not easy. And as a skilled negotiator such as Otti was, you always have to understand that you have to make compromise. But the work of which we've done over the past few years to advance issues of labor legislation in concert with the unions, not agreeing on all matters, but making sure that we made sure you got your free riders when it came to union dues, ensuring that we were upgrading the rights of organization, and also to make sure to prevent against new things such as bullying, sexual harassment, ensuring that workers who work for a certain amount of time were afforded breaks. Those are all recent changes which we made, and it just carries on the proud legacy of continuing to fight to ensure that workers inside of a country who give their labor and toil are treated fairly.
All right. Well, Premier, thank you for calling in to give your tributes to not only one of your mentors, but your constituent.
Absolutely. Well, MP Famous, I just want to say condolences to you again, and without question, condolences to the entire Bermuda Industrial Union family, because it is a great loss, and so many persons have reached out to express their admiration for MP Otti, and what we will do is make sure that he has a send-off that is fitting for the role of which he has played inside of this country.
All right. Thank you, Premier.
All right. Take care.
All right. Yes, and that was the Premier, and yes, Brother Dawn.
I got you.
You got me?
Yeah, I'm going to take a commercial break and then come back to you.
All right, now.
Attention, Bermuda. The 2023...
Okay, we're back live, and Chris, you have your second guest on the line.
Second guest. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker.
Hey, Chris, how you doing today, man?
I'm blessed, Mr. Speaker. The floor is yours.
Okay, good. I just finished my swim, so I'm feeling good. Let me just say, I've been asked to speak about Ottiwell Simmons, and I'd just like to start off by saying that Ottiwell Simmons, to me, was the measure of a man. He was thoughtful, he was patient, he was caring, and also, very, very responsible in whatever he done. He had a sense of humor. He was kind. He was knowledgeable, courageous man. What a courageous man he was. And just, Adi set an outstanding and excellent example for any young man. And I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to be able to be close to Adi from all the way back. And it started out when Adi sent his daughter, Emma, to work secondary school, and I was the principal of the school. And
how many times you had to call him to the office?
Not that many, because all I had to do was mention that I was going to call Adi, and things cleared straight up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that was a wonderful experience too. And then Adi also, there was a time when I met Adi, and Adi tried to encourage me to come to the union, to be the education officer at the union at one time, which I gave some thought to, but in the end decided that I was going to stay, in education with the education ministry. And Adi has really been a mentor to me, and I can think of so many just experiences that helped me grow into the man that I've become, and the responsible person that I've become. Certainly, Adi, when he was the whip of the party, the whip of the Progressive Labour Party, we were ever so organized whenever we went to Parliament. Everybody knew who was going to speak on what and at what time, point in the debate that we would speak. He kept good control. He was a real whip, I could tell you that. And we certainly, as members of Parliament, appreciated that. And me, as a first-time MP, I sat next to Adi in the House of Assembly, and his wisdom helped me a great deal. I'll never forget him saying to me, he said, when you get up to speak when you've got something to say. Don't speak because you got a mouth and that you can talk. Speak when you've got something to say. And he said how important it was to listen carefully to what the debate was, where the debate was going, and whether you could make a contribution to the debate in order to bring on the kind of solution that we were aiming for. So he sat next to me, and I could tell you that when I was in the House of Assembly in 1998, after we won, in my first couple of months, I said very little. I got up, I made my maiden speech.
Mr. Speaker, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Can I get a point of clarity?
Yes.
You said very little, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, because Adi told me, he said, do not get up and speak unless you know what you're going to be talking about. Make sure you know, and also that you're saying something that's relevant to the debate. He told me that. So I said, it was maybe a month I was there, and I said my maiden speech. That's when nobody can interrupt you. And then after that, I just listened until I, felt that I was, on the road, and then I could get up and make a contribution. So that was very, very, very helpful to me, because I was wanting to jump up every time. Every time, no matter what it was and when it was. At first, I was wanting to get up. He said, no, that's not the way to do it. If you want to be respected, then, speak to issues that you have clarity about. And so that indeed, Chris, that helped me tremendously. I also can think of the times that I traveled with Adi a couple of times as well. Once when he was the whip at the time as well. When we went to
Mr.
Washington.
Speaker?
Sorry? Yes?
We're just going to go to the news and then we come right back. Just feel that thought.
Okay. Yes, right.
Line and length.
All right. I was just going to say that I traveled with Adi a couple of times as well. And
line and length, Mr. Speaker. Just saying that.
Yes, absolutely. And so he, in fact, we went to Guernsey, London, and Scotland on a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association meeting. And for me, again, it was early on in my day as a parliamentarian, and so be traveling with him, and also at the time with the Speaker Stanley Lowe, was an experience that was quite fulfilling for me, and gave me the opportunity to meet members of Parliament from all around the world, and develop some relationships which I still have today. Also, I traveled to the District of Columbia, to D.C. with him as a part of the Parliamentary Prayer Breakfast Group. And it was a wonderful weekend we spent in Washington at a place called the Cedars. And the Cedars is a place where members of Congress come together and have breakfast sessions, have prayer, and work to sort through issues not that keep them, whether they're Republican or Democrat, but to see situations as representatives of the people, and similar to the prayer breakfast group that we have in Bermuda. But just being with Adi and just seeing Adi and the way that he operates, the man was so patient, so thoughtful, and even when dealing with issues that I know were getting under his skin, but Adi always was able to stay focused and not allow things that he absolutely didn't agree with, or if someone said something that was off the rail for him, he would always keep his composure and stay on the course that'll get him to where he wanted to go. And I think that's where he was able to have such great success in his negotiating skills to bring about the kind of opportunity that he brought for the workers in Bermuda. Bermuda workers have to be absolutely thankful to Adi Simmons. I mean, what he's done is really immeasurable. You just can't measure it. It's so good.
All right. Well, Mr. Speaker, we want to thank you for your contribution to this debate, and we shall be calling upon you in the future, not maybe closer to August, to a slightly different debate.
Okay. Well, for you, Mr. Speaker, I will do anything for you, Brother Christopher.
Okay. Would you tell those guys up the country give us a cop back?
I'll tell them, but that's one thing I don't think they'll agree with me with.
All right. Thank you. So thank you again, Mr. Speaker. We're going to go to break, and then we're going to have another esteemed person speak on, give tribute to Honorable Ottiwell Simmons.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
No problem. Thank you for everything.
Welcome to Furniture Walk and Sleeper's Paradise. At Furniture Walk, we have the island's widest selections of top brand home furnishings, like Bassett, Craftmaster, and Natuzzi. Come on in at our 12 Harvey Road Paget showroom to find the perfect piece for any part of your home. Feeling a little tired? Visit our new Sleeper's Paradise, specializing in all things sleep. Bedding by Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic and Therapeutic, plus the finest sheets, pillows, cushions, and sleep accessories. Sleeper's Paradise is conveniently located at 7 Front Street on the corner of Parleville and Front Street. Go to FurnitureWalk.com or FurnitureWalk.com/SleepersParadise. Together, furnishing Bermuda's homes for over 30 years. Call 292-5209. Follow the pineapple, the logo you can trust.
Join host Jamila Lod for BEDC's Mind Your Business radio show on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Because if you don't mind your business, who will? Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business starts here.
Talking Beauty with Sasha Benton, skincare specialist and owner of Benton Aesthetic. Bermuda's most elite spa where the focus is on your skin's health. Customized treatments ranging from dermaplaning, acne boot camp, skin tag treatments to laser lipo. We have what you need to put your face and body forward. Tune in every other Tuesday at 8:45 a.m. on Power 95 for an exciting segment on how to improve your skin's health.
And we're back with us once again. Chris, take it away.
Yes, good afternoon. We're back here for our tribute to Honorable Ottiwell Simmons, and we wanted to give his life from a political perspective. And our third guest is the Honorable Walter Lister, JP. Good afternoon, Honorable Lister. How are you?
Brother Chris, how you doing?
I'm blessed.
I feel very honored to have this opportunity to speak on behalf of my good friend, the Honorable Ottiwell Simmons, because I think back in 1972, I knew of Otti before, earlier years, but in 1972 he ran for the Progressive Labour Party, and he was unsuccessful. But that year...
Not yet successful.
He was not, yes. But the party decided that... it was an ideal time for Otti to go be a part of politics, and he was sent as a senator. They weren't senators then. There was another name that escapes me, but he had been a senator back then. And then he ran again in 1972, where he was successful. In 1976, where he was successful as a member of parliament. He had a very down-to-earth personality. He was very humane in dealing with issues. It was a real honor to be able to see Otti up close, like I could as a young person. Because I went to Parliament, I was 32 years old, and Otti and I became good friends at that stage. But he was always prepared to give advice. He was always equipped with issues, both particularly in the labor sphere, and also in other issues, you know. And in later years, I had the opportunity to travel with him on a number of occasions, just like the former speaker, Randolph Horton, said. I went to Washington with him to one of the prayer breakfasts. I think it was one when one of the presidents was there, whose name escapes me, Bill Clinton. And Otti was there, and he and his good friend Cal Smith and a number of members of Parliament. And that was a great opportunity to see that side of the side of Washington in a different light, you know. Mm-hmm. But also in later years, we had the opportunity, both he and I had the opportunity to represent Bermuda at a Caribbean Parliamentary Conference in Cayman Islands. But Otti had a very unique ability, and he could represent and speak well and make his point amongst most anybody. He had the ability to get your attention and hold your attention. He was one of the PLP's good speakers, and he spoke to issues. I think that
in more recent years, he was a member of the Parliamentary Prayer Group Association, and he retired not too long ago. But just in February, that same committee honored Adi for his contributions to Bermuda, and it was held at the Willowbank Hotel in Somerset. And it was a wonderful afternoon. Adi had the opportunity to speak, and although he was on in years, he was his real self. He spoke just to the facts and made himself very well felt in the community at that event. But that was Adi Simmons, and I feel that for me, it was a great honor just to be able to say that he is one of my good friends, and I used to see him frequently. Just before he went to the hospital some months ago, probably around February, a couple of times I met him in a particular restaurant. We would have, if he was there, I would go by. If he was there, we'd have a meal or so, or some discussion. And Adi was always on target, and I think he's going to be a big miss to this community. He's made a valuable contribution, and he's paid his dues. And all I can say is rest in peace, my good brother, Adi Simmons.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lesser. We really appreciate you giving us a call because, as I said earlier, in the beginning of the show, you've heard quite a lot about his union life.
Yes.
But some perspective. A lot of people forget he was a MP, senator, MP as well.
Yes,
so I'm glad for you to just you and Mr. Horton to give your perspective. So I appreciate that.
Well, I'd just like to say in closing that it is a great honor just to have been able to work with people in that position up close and see them firsthand. It really gives you strength to go on from day to day, and I will remember the contributions that he's made to myself, Bermuda, and also to the world. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And tell Mrs. Lister I say hello.
Thanks much.
All right. We're going to go to break, and then we'll have someone else on.
Hi, it's Fred from ZipX. At ZipX, it's not about the packages, it's about the people. We work hard behind the scenes to get your order from our Delaware facility and deliver it into your hands in Bermuda in the fastest way possible at the lowest rates. The best part of my day is seeing my clients' smiling faces when I pull up to their driveway with their ZipX packages. Look out for me in my red, white, and blue van. And don't forget, zip it with ZipX. Sign up for your free ZipX account at zipx.bm and shop tax-free with a U.S. shipping address.
Are you a lover of quality food? Join me, Shelley Thunder, at 5:30 p.m. every Wednesday on Ocean 89 for Foodie 411. We will keep you in the loop with the hottest restaurant menus, wine and cocktail pairings, and food-related products and events. We'll share delicious tips to satisfy your inner food critic, from gourmet dining to casual fare. Tune in every Wednesday at 5:30 on Ocean 89.
Foodie 411 is brought to you by Butterfield and Vallis.
94.9 Bermuda. Our 95.
And we're back with you once again, Chris.
Good afternoon, and we have someone on the line who I'm very appreciative of, someone who knows almost every single politician for the last however long. Good afternoon, Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon, Mr. Famous. First of all, I apologize to our listeners for my horses. I'm just recovering from a cold. But what I want to say is that I knew Adi, as we fondly called him, both personally and professionally, more so personally, way back for when my dad was involved in the 1965 Belco riots. And you know what? I consider Adi to be he's a firebrand. He was I would say with Dr. Gordon, he was a scholar of the trade unionism, and Adi became his student. And then later on, Adi became the scholar of trade unionism in Bermuda. And he was very forthright, he was very direct, and I remember my dad really looked up to Adi. And I learned so much from both of those gentlemen, from what we call kitchen discussions around the table.
Kitchen cabinet?
Yes, kitchen cabinet discussions around the table from Otti. And I remember every Labor Day we would go up to his home. He would have these lovely parties. And we'd be in the kitchen. My sister and I, we were young then, maybe in our teens or early 20s. And we would listen to all the discussion about the injustices and the unequal wages in Bermuda, working conditions they would talk about. So I think my love of politics and my quest for fairness and justice, I would say, stemmed from Otti. And Otti did tell my dad, one of the things, you have to stand for what is right. You have to, because you can't take your integrity. You may not have anything anything else in life, but you must stand in your truth. So, personally, I did know Otti. But, even though he was a firebrand, there was a side of him. He was really, really funny. And I remember he used to call me Miss Rita, or depending on the mood he was in, he would call me Mr. Morris, and that was my dad. And as you know, as I said earlier, my dad was involved early in trade unionism. And
your mom, too? Don't forget.
Yes, and my mom. I'm getting ready to go to that at the co-op supermarket. And, in fact, Otti, my dad is in Ira Phillips' book. There's a picture of my dad. It's right now. He's on the left smoking the cigar, and Otti's on the right. And they were very determined and resolute then as young men. They knew what was fair and what was right to Bermuda. So I owe a gratitude to both my parents, as my mom worked in the co-op supermarket, for giving us the privilege, all of us in the family, the privilege of getting to know Otti, and that was very important. Professionally, I did get to know him. I did know of him when I did enter the hallowed halls of the chambers of the House of Assembly in 2003, but I knew Otti then. And I remember that's when I learned about abstaining from a vote. He was the very first MP. I remember he abstained for the vote on the GPS. Remember, for taxis? I never forgot that,
yeah.
Because he was a taxi driver then. So he said, I can't vote on this. I'm going to have to recuse myself, or he abstained from the vote, as I can recall. And then we traveled with him at one of the CPA conferences. My husband was along that trip as well. And I remember his love for ice cream. I remember his love for ice cream. So there was a very gentle side of this giant, Otti. And he's something that I will always revere. He's a loss to the island. He's an icon. And he's definitely, in my estimation, one of my heroes.
Okay. And you want to give him a little plug about who your mama was?
Yes, my mother was the late Mrs. Rita Patterson, who believed in the co-op supermarket, in the co-op society. And I used to hear her and Otti having very passionate discussions on the labor front and what's happening with the Progressive Labor Party, what's happening to the country. And, I just want to say that. So, I knew Otti through both of my parents, Mr. Morris Patterson and Mrs. Rita Patterson. Not only that, we also were acquainted, Otti also made sure that we became friendly with other labor leaders. For example, Robert Johnson, I remember that. We used to go fishing, and we used to go on boat rides with Robert Johnson and Nell Johnson. But there was also another firebrand. I was talking to my sister earlier, and she was trying to remember the name of the gentleman that came in the 80s and served Butler. What was his name? He was very fiery, and he had this
Bahamas?
That we always used. He was a butler. I think it's
Bahamas?
from New York, one of the trade union groups in New York. And I don't remember his name. I see he had gray and white hair.
That's before my time, so.
I don't remember his name, but like I said, that was a time when we had a lot of firebrands, even during the time of Shirley Chisholm. Remember when she came to Bermuda? Also. So, he's going to be a great loss to the island, and I must also extend my sincere and deepest condolences to Emma, to Shaka, as we know, and to the rest of the BIU family.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll be calling upon you for some more words of wisdom later on down the line.
Yes. But like I said, he's going to be a miss. Definitely going to be a miss. And, because he's very passionate about the cause. And that was drilled into our heads, the cause, what is right and what is fair.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And you get yourself better, boil up that concoction and natural, the organic stuff.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Brother Dawn?
Yes, sir.
We're going to go to break, and then we'll have our final person calling in.
We'll do that. Thank you.
I'm Wendell Deal. Join the Bermuda Cricket Board on Inside Sports Talk Radio every second and the fourth Monday of the month on Power 95, when they will provide the latest information involving our youth, women, and the men's domestic cricket program. BCB will give you the latest on their international cricket calendar that involves all facets of Bermuda competing. That's Bermuda Cricket Board on Inside Sports every second and the fourth Monday of the month on Power 95 Radio.
Inside Health, featuring Sarah Boschanoya of the Bermuda Diabetes Association and Don Bassett, is back on Power 95 FM radio. This 45-minute live and in-depth analysis program will provide the latest information on all things diabetes, prevention, and living well. Listen in and discover ways to put you and your health first. We will open phone lines for your participation. That's Inside Health every second and fourth Tuesday of the month with Sarah Boschanoya and Don Bassett. Brought to you by Lindo's Group of Companies.
94.9 Bermuda. Our 95.
Once again, we're back live with the Chris.
Yes, and I could not have this show without someone who is not only an PLP MP, but a union president, the man who succeeded Brother Otti. Good afternoon, Mr. Deputy Speaker. How are you?
Good afternoon, Honorable Member Mr. Famous. How are you?
I'm blessed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you have the floor.
Well, Brother Chris, Otti Simmons, when it comes to Otti Simmons, he's one of the greatest persons in this country that I've ever known and even ever read about when it comes to fighting for his people. Otti is the true definition of a hero. Otti did not compromise his stance on fighting for the rights of workers. You couldn't buy him. You couldn't tame him. He wasn't for sale. But he always kept his respect in place for everybody, even those that disrespected him, and there were quite a few. Otti, I tell you, he just did for his people. He just went all out for his people, and he felt that everybody, regardless of the situation, deserve representation, and that's what he done. He's I thought he was very cool and calm and collective, despite how they depicted him in the newspapers and many other places. I can remember a time that Otti had wanted some work done around his house, and he told me get somebody for him. So I got my mate. He went round there, spent a weekend round with Otti. And days later, I saw him. He says, "Man, that fellow Simmons he's a nice guy." I said, "What you mean? Why do you say that?" He says, "Well, the way it's been pictured and painted, that he was this grouch and unreasonable person, but he's really a nice guy." So I said to him, Otti Simmons has always been a good fella. Always. I've never known him to be any other way. And he was that way when I first met him. Adi was so powerful not only in Bermuda. I guess Adi would prefer me to say respected. That when we went to the ILO conference, which is the annual conference of the governments, the employers, and the workers, Adi being a worker representative. And in the plenary, this is where you speak. You speak for all, you speak amongst all people. And being that Bermuda was a dependent territory, if whether it was Adi or whether it was somebody from the government wanted to speak in the plenary, they had to get permission from the UK delegation. Adi didn't need that permission. They let Adi speak. He was on the agenda to speak every year. That's the type of respect they had for Adi Simmons internationally. And he was recognized in the trade union movement worldwide. Powerful fella. He liked a good meal. He was, he just like common things. He wasn't looking for fame or fortune. He just was there for his people. And he was consistent with that. Very consistent with fighting for his people, despite whatever the circumstance was with that particular worker. Adi was there for them. And that's how we stand today. In fact, we guys, Chris and I in particular, and Molly to some extent, we watch Adi very closely and to learn a lot from Adi. Adi was my father in trade unionism and in politics. And if I come over too rough, blame Adi.
No, not you.
Blame Adi Simmons. Because when we're out fighting for the rights of our people, we're very compassionate about it. And we make no apologies for it. And, those that are offended by it, well, that can be tough on them. But the rights of people, we want people to be able to live in comfort and be able to not only live in comfort, but give our children the things that those that have no problem with funding, we want to be able to give our children all of that also. And we always put ourselves, Adi Simmons, we put ourselves always in the position of that worker. And that's how we went forward. And I would always, always, always remember Adi Simmons for the fight, for the stance, for his style, and the way he went about representing the people in this country, even those that today want to be friends with his legacy, tripped the nose up to Adi when we was out on the streets. Even those, Adi never treated them any different. He still spoke to them and had respect for them, even those that smiled up in his face and really didn't have anything for him. Adi was a true man of God. Deep roots in the AME Church. Adi's grandfather was one of the builders of St. Philip's AME Church in Tuckerstown. Reverend Solomon Simmons. Also Reverend Conway Simmons, his grandfather, and Reverend Dr. Erskine Simmons' father. So Adi was well rooted in the movement and fighting for those that didn't have any rights or had very little rights and very little benefits. Adi was our champion. And his legacy will live on for many, many years. Adi didn't even want to be recognized. I'm sure Chris will tell you more about that in the coming days, but that was Ottie Simmons. All he wanted to do is get rights, benefits for all. That's all he wanted to do, to make sure everybody lived in comfort.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that in Bermuda but there are those who like to compartmentalize things.
Yep.
When the labor movement, whoever the union is, they fight, not to say fight, but when they stand up for workers, they don't say, well, the Bermudian workers are going to get a raise and the non-Bermudian workers can't get a raise. They don't say the Bermudian workers could get maternity leave and the non-Bermudian workers can. Everybody got maternity leave.
Everybody.
Right? And that's and one thing that I had to say earlier, and forgive me for cutting into your speech, Mr.
No, that's fine.
Is that one of the challenges we have presently as a party and as a people is that you all lifted so much heavy weight 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago that it's almost like, well, the wheel's already been invented. There's not as much for us as parliamentarians to do at present. And often our generation, my generation, let me put that way, forget that L in PLP stands for labor. It doesn't stand for liberal. It doesn't stand for wannabe like. It stands for labor.
Labor, yep.
Right? And so it's unfortunate that it takes the passing of a giant for us to be reminded of what the PLP and the BIU had to do together.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate. So I want to thank you, because you're one of the few who have been a labor union president and an MP. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of you. I could be wrong.
Ottie, Dr. Gordon. Yeah. As far as presidents, yeah.
And Brother Jason.
Oh, yeah, Jason. Yes, right. Jason Haver, my cousin from over BPSU. Yeah.
Right. But the point I'm getting at is that, as you said, people who smile up, who are now, writing all these nice fluffy things about Brother Ottie. Those are the same people wanted to crucify him 40 years ago. I was in Berkeley, and I remember the remarks that some of our people were saying, oh, this can bring down the country. Oh, why we got to strike? Why we just can't just, When your people's willing to get rolled over, that's the biggest fight, It's not fighting against this or just against you. Your people that's willing to lay down and get rolled over when you're trying to fight for them.
Yeah, and that's an individual thing. I'm doing okay. I'm not too concerned about the rest. Well, we at the BIU, under Ottie Simmons, and I'm sure those before Ottie Simmons, we never rolled like that. We wanted everybody to do well. And that's the principle that Chris Herbert carries today, Molly Burgess carries, Ronnie Burgess carries. That's what we do. We will not compromise on that. Yeah.
Yes. And there was earlier former clerk, Wolf was on, and she was speaking about a person, Mr. Butler, and I got well-informed by a very well-informed person that the person's name is Jim Butler of 420.
Oh,
in New
yes,
York.
420 New York. I forget he had a famous, we used to use down here, something about fire, but I'm
feeling fired up.
It's fired up. That's what it was. I'm fired up. That was Jim Butler out of New York. Yeah. Remember him? He used to come every Labor Day to celebrate with us.
Yeah, so I want to thank that person that sent me that, the 2 people that sent me that WhatsApp, so he was able to answer that question.
Yeah, Jim Butler was very close to Ottie and close to our union. And Reverend Butts out of, I think it was Abyssinia Baptist Church in New York. He passed earlier this year. He was also one of our Labor Day speakers. He and Ottie were very, very tight too. And he died. I think Butts was probably 70 or in his late 60s, but he died. But another brilliant fella. Oh yeah,
Right.
Artie brought Andrew Young down here, one of our Labor Day speakers. Yeah, his had him here, and you know, Artie got those fellas. Artie was cheap, see. Artie would get these fellas come and at no cost. Oh yeah, yeah, and it was great. You know, that's they knew. I guess they knew Artie. You know, but he was, and Artie was honest. I tell you, I've experienced his honesty, and I'll probably speak about that Sunday.
All right. Well, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank you for taking the time to call in.
Anytime for you, cousin.
And there's two slogans that we live by, and I would like to give you the honor of closing the show with those slogans.
Yes, it's united we stand, divided we fall.
PLP?
All the way, PLP.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And with that, we close this show in honor of the great Honorable Ottiwell Simmons, JP.
Okay. All right, cousin. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for all who called in. Thank you, Brother Dawn. And
anytime.
We shall be marching our giant to glory on Sunday.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Right.
All right.